Good morning, everyone. Welcome to your College Ready Taster session for early years childcare at Trafford College in Altrincham. So today I'm going to give you some details about your study programme and hopefully give you a feel for the course and the sort of topics that we will be covering during your time with us on childcare. So thank you for watching. You see there the NCFE CASH sign. CASH is the awarding body that we use for childcare, whichever level you're on, whether that's level 1, 2 or 3. So if you're interested in looking on their website to get a feel for what sort of courses are available, what sort of resources are online, you can have a look at cash.org.uk. That's cash.org.uk. Okay. So first things first, I think it'd be quite nice for you to meet some of the staff who we have on childcare in the department. So this is Lisa Radcliffe. Lisa is the head of the department, so she's the head of studies for not only childcare but also health and social care. So you will see her around the building. She is available for you to go and speak to you about any issues at all, and she will bob into classes from time to time to make sure that we're all working hard and getting on okay. This is Helen Mortimer. Helen is one of the other early years lecturers. So whatever level you're on, whether that's level 1, level 2 or level 3, you will have Helen teaching you some of your classes. And this is me, Sarah De Silva Vakash. I'm one of the other childcare early years lecturers. And again, whichever level you're on, you will be having me teaching some of your lessons as well. So first of all, thank you for watching this presentation. I hope you enjoy it and you get some information. And what we are going to look at today is play and how it supports children's development. So this is one of the really important subjects that we study on any childcare course because it's the basis of everything that we do with children. So you want to work with children. So here's some lovely images of children playing. And these are the sort of things that you will be doing every day, organising activities, playing with the children, getting involved and developing them in every way possible. So what sort of things might you see or do during your day at placement while you're doing your practical training? You're going to be doing lots. So some examples of some things there. You're going to see children being dropped off by their parents or carers. And that might involve you passing messages from the parents to the staff, collecting packed lunches, taking any information. Maybe the child's not slept very well. It could be that you don't do that. It could be the staff that do that and you just observe that. It really depends on the setting that you're in and what they do allow you to do. Other things you might get involved in seeing or doing is breakfast. Most settings have breakfast for children. Schools or nurseries have breakfast clubs as well. And often children, if they're coming early, especially if it's a nursery setting, they might not have eaten breakfast at home. They might be eating with you, or it could be that they have a second breakfast with you. So you'd be involved in maybe serving food, feeding children, cleaning up, preparing the area for things like that. Throughout the day, you're going to be involved in lots of different play times, activity times, outdoor play, crafts, lunchtime, routine, snack time, hoe time, and for obviously those younger children, nappy changing and possibly sleeping as well. Often children will have a sleep after their lunch and you will be responsible for sort of caring for those children, making sure that they're safe, making sure that they actually are able to get to sleep. So lots and lots of things going on. Early start. You will be playing a lot with the children, you will be planning activities, you'll be observing them and you'll be working very closely with the staff in your settings with those children. So as you can see, lots of images there. You might hear laughing, crying, banging, singing, shouting, musical instruments, bricks falling, water splashing, squealing, amongst many other noises. It is a noisy, loud environment and you will be tired at the end of the day. You will be very, very happy for a quiet, darkened room when you get home. But you do get used to all these noises, and it does become part of your everyday experience. You get used to understanding different cries, understanding if children are unhappy. When you plan the activities, you'll get used to understanding what sort of things the children like to do. Some children with special educational needs might need a bit of peace and quiet, so maybe you can have rooms where you go and do things like that as well. But you will hear lots and lots of different noises every day on your training. You will also do a lot of this, playing with tabletop activities, with bricks, sitting on the floor, doing sand play, playing with balls, indoor and outdoor. You'll be doing imaginative play. You may be working with children with disabilities, so you need to be aware of wheelchair users and maybe equipment like hoists. You'll be doing lots of maths, English, speaking, communication, indoor play, outdoor play. There's lots and lots going on, and you will be involved in all of this when you are on your training. So we've talked a lot about play. We've talked a lot about what you're going to be doing during the day. So now we're going to look at what is play. So play is a pleasurable activity that is actively engaged in on a voluntary basis. It is intrinsically motivated and contains some non-literal elements. And that's a quote from Cook and Cook in 2007. So lots of posh words there, lots of words that you perhaps not heard of before or don't necessarily understand. So what does that mean? So that quote means, and what play means, is that children gain enjoyment out of engaging in activities. They have fun, they have a built-in desire to play, and they will use their imagination. Play is probably one of the most important elements of a childhood. It is a child's work. So what do we mean by that? Well, what we mean, because children learn through play. And as you can see on the quote there, play is to have fun and to make a big mess with toys. What we always say and what we always talk about when we're going through information about placement and the sort of things you'll be doing on a day-to-day basis with the children is, if you're not tired, you're not dirty, you've not made a mess, then you've not had a great day. So absolutely make sure that all those things, the fun, the activities, you want to try and encourage that built-in desire that the children have and get them involved in lots of different play activities, because when they are doing that, they are working, they are learning through play. So play. All children need to play. The impulse to play is innate, built in, as we've mentioned. Children are born with a natural curiosity and a drive to play and explore. Play is a physiological, psychological, and social necessity. It helps their development, it helps them be healthy, and it helps them build up socialisation skills and communities as well. So there's lots of different things that you might play with, like we mentioned before, indoor, outdoor play. You might be playing with apparatus, equipment. You might be playing with footballs, large balls. You might have climbing frames. Inside you'll have building blocks, bricks, imaginative areas, sand play, water play, and lots of tabletop activities also. So the right to play. What do you think I mean by the right to play? Well, what it means is the United Nations Convention on the Rights of the Child, which was adopted by the United Nations in 1989, spells out the basic human rights to which every child everywhere is entitled. The convention set out 54 articles or statements, that means, of the rights of all children. And these articles include Article 31, which is the right to engage in play and recreational activities. So the UK signed up to this convention, and what that means for us in the UK is that all our laws, all our legislations around children must involve the rights that were mentioned in this convention, and we must embed those rights into everyday practice. So our policies, our procedures are all based on the rights of the child that we signed up to when we joined this convention on the rights of the child. So just to show you some more here, hopefully you can see these a little bit more clearly. But again, when you're in college, we will be looking at this in a lot more detail, and you will get copies of the articles for you to sort of look at and understand and break down a little bit more. But to summarise some of these articles here, Article 12, your right to say what you think should happen and be listened to. So that includes everyday life. It also includes what you want to play within the setting, what activities you want to get involved in. Article 20, you should be looked after properly if you can't live with your own family. So we as workers would be aware of that. We would know where children were living, and we'd make sure that we were liaising with their carers and making sure that children are safeguarded. Article 23, your right to special care and support if you are disabled. So again, when we're looking at play activities, we'd absolutely have to make sure that every individual need is met for all the children, that we differentiate, we change those activities around to make sure that everybody can be involved. Article 28, your right to learn and go to school. Every child in every country that's signed up to this convention has a right to go to school, and that education must meet their needs, must give them those opportunities to have positive outcomes so they can move forward in their life. And obviously, like I mentioned before, Article 31 is the one about the right to engage in play and recreational activities. So that's a child's right. That's what we've signed up to in the UK. So play for children, why is it important? So play is an essential part of every child's life and is vital for the enjoyment of childhood, as well as for physical, intellectual, language, emotional and social development. So play links to all the areas of children's development. So we've touched on there a little bit about the different areas of development. So we're going to move on now and start to link how play is important for this and how we actually use that to help us improve children's development. So I've just mentioned these, hopefully you might remember them from the last slide. So if I'm just going to bring up the letters P-I-L-E-S, have a think what the areas of those development might be. So it's physical, intellectual, language, emotional and social. Okay, so as you can see on the picture here, we've got the physical, social, emotional, cognitive and language. So cognitive is another word for intellectual. Cognition means understanding. So intellectual and cognitive, link to children's brain development, their understanding, their learning, how they develop those skills that they're going to need when they move forward into schools. So we use intellectual because it's easier to remember it as piles. It's an easy way for you to remember those areas of development. But if you remember that intellectual, cognitive are part of the same thing. So we'll break down these areas of development a little bit more now. So physical, this is the way that children use their bodies, their hands, their fingers, movement of the whole body. That could be fine motor skills. What we call fine motor skills is using the hands and the fingers to cut, to draw, to write. Large motor skills or gross motor skills if they're climbing outside on apparatus. Children there would be using lots of different things like balance, but not only physical skills, it would link to things like emotions. They would be developing their confidence, they would be having fun and sharing that activity with friends. So you're not just meeting one area of development when you plan activities with the children. It's very important that we think about supervising at a correct level. So if it's younger children, you might be a lot closer, being very supportive. If it was older children, you might step away a little bit and let them develop those skills themselves, just making sure that you're aware of health and safety from a safe distance. So some examples here of physical play. As you can see, that little boy is very determined to get up that ladder. Again, like we said before, we'd talk about safe supervision. We'd make sure that that child was safe, but was actually able to continue to do that activity on their own, developing those muscles, that coordination, that hand-eye coordination, making sure that he learns that new skill. He'd be very proud of that when he finished and gets to the top. You'll see also there the big parachute. So hopefully you'll be getting involved in activities like that in placement. If not, you certainly will in college. We have our own parachute. So often when we're doing theory on play, we will actually do those practical lessons ourselves to give you that chance to practice, to have a bit of fun with your own friends and to make sure you're learning how to put this into play in placement. So we'll be doing things like that with you when you're in college as well. So intellectual cognitive development, this is all about learning, as I mentioned before. It is about how children organise their minds, their ideas and their thoughts of the world that they live in. So that includes things such as learning to read, being read to, looking at books, recognising a picture, linking alphabet symbols, linked to picture symbols, recognising and naming colours, problem solving, for example, numbers, question and listening, and so on. So here's some examples of children playing. If you look at the little puzzle there, it's a physical game. The child can sort of move that ball around, but they're learning colours, they've got different shapes, and then there's some tabletop activities there as well, where children perhaps learning how to shape their jigsaws, learning different language and developing those intellectual skills as they're playing. This links to early literacy, very much so, and this is a skill that we would develop very, very young with young children, what we call mark making. So you would provide from a very early age paper, large crayons, paint brushes, all those skills will help develop those children's fine motor skills, so they'll be able to sort of make marks on the paper, and that links then to the intellectual development of early literacy, because they can understand that writing is words, it can be read out, you can write a story, and it links very much to literacy when they move forward into school as well. So we develop those skills when we're reading to them, when we're reading with them, and when they then get involved in mark making and looking at pictures in books. So language development, the third area of development. This is how children learn to communicate. So that would be talking, listening, and body language as well. It's about using vocabulary and new words, and it also links to reading and writing, so those literacy skills that we mentioned in the previous slide. All this way of communicating is a way of helping develop children's language, helping them to be able to socialise with people and to be able to move forward with those literacy skills when they get older. So whether that's reading stories with them, letting them read themselves. It could involve things like sign language. So hopefully one of the things that we might look at in class is a little bit of Makaton training. We can learn the alphabet, so you can do a little bit of sign language if you have children who need to communicate that way in placement. That's another skill that you can perhaps learn when we're doing our lessons in class. Emotional. So this is the way children express their feelings. So they recognise their own feelings and those of others around them, that empathy, that understanding that other children have feelings as well. So it could be that they might be upset or scared about something. It could be that they're fearful, they don't want to leave a parent or a carer, or it could be that they're just really happy or very proud of something that they've done. And it's our job to recognise those emotions, to support the children with those emotions, and to make sure that they understand that other children feel that as well. So dealing with emotions. So children need positive examples and positive reinforcement. So we as staff need to be showing them how to behave, how to praise other children, how to care for other children. They will copy that example. And then if they do something really lovely, to give that positive reinforcement, to say well done, because they'll feel happy and proud if you do that for them. They'll need support with their emotions. They'll need to be able to be taught how to self-regulate, to understand why they're feeling what they're feeling. If they're stressed or anxious, we can help them calm down, and hopefully then that helps support behaviours and how they play with other children. They need comfort and they need care. That's a really, really important part of being an early years practitioner. Children need to know that we care for them, that we're there for them, and that we will support them. That's very, very important. Social. So the last area of development. So this is where children learn to make relationships with others and play with other children. It's also about regulating behaviour, learning values, morals, and having an appropriate attitude, because when you are developing socially, you are with other people, you're making relationships, you've got friendships. So it's about how we work together, how we treat each other, and how we play and support each other. So it could be that when you're working with younger children, you'll notice that they don't know how to share, they snatch toys off each other. Well, that's a developmental thing. That's something they learn as they get older, usually sort of between 3 and 4. So we'd need to be aware of that. We'd need to make sure that we support that with the children. We'd need to encourage team games, get them involved in lots of different playing opportunities so they learn to develop those friendships and play together nicely. So we've looked a lot at play, we've looked at the areas of development. When you are in college, you will learn an awful lot about different theorists. So what is a theory? A theory is something that helps us explain and answer why. What does that mean? How does it help? What is it? So theories of play are influenced by thinkers from the past and thinkers from around the world. They help us to look at the role of play in a child's development. The different theories of play emphasise different aspects and they help us to learn more about children's play. So there are many, many different theorists who have come up with ideas about play, why we play, how we play, who children play with. And throughout your course, you will learn lots and lots of information about different theorists, not just on play, on lots of other things as well. But today we're just going to focus on one. So that's going to be Mildred Parton. So Mildred Parton, she was born in 1916, so right in the middle of the First World War, in the beginning of the last century, and she died just over 10 years ago in 2009. So Mildred was a sociologist and she observed children during the first half of the 20th century, and what she discovered was that children of different ages played differently together. So she observed lots of different age groups of children and she observed how they played, if they played together, and what sort of ages that might change. So this little chart should show you what Mildred's thoughts were on that. So from sort of birth up to about 2, she noticed that children sort of were alone, they were unoccupied. Sometimes they might have toys in their hands, sometimes they might just sit and quite happy to sort of be just looking around the room and involved in play in that sort of way, sort of observing things. Again, moving up the age groups, you can see the age groups on the bar going upwards. So from about 2 to 3, children still sort of played solo play, so they played alone. And you know, they quite happily be in the room with other children, but they tend to just be concentrating on what they're doing themselves. And then sort of between sort of 3, 3.5, they start noticing the other children in the room. They might hover on the outskirts of what's going on somewhere else and have a look, so onlooker play, what's going on over there. They might be watching and observing what other children are doing. That then moves on to sort of parallel play, so they'll be playing next to children. It could be that they're just sitting there playing something different, or it could be that because they've observed something during onlooker play that they're interested in, they might grab the same activity and they would play in parallel to that child. Then sort of from 3, 3.5 onwards, associative play, they start recognising that, you know, things link together, that they can work together using their imagination, and then sort of from that sort of age, when they start associating with things and each other, they start to cooperate with each other. So cooperative play, they'll start to play together, they'll learn how to share, and they'll want to do activities together. So Mildred noticed this when she observed lots of children, and she came up with these stages of play, and they are still very, very important to us today for us to understand different age groups, different developments, and why children might be playing in the way that they do. So that's one theory. So what's your role in play? A massive role. There's lots and lots for you to do during play. So the curriculum that we look at for when we're working with children, the national curriculum is called the Early Years Foundation Stage. And again, you'll learn an awful lot about that during your time on the course, whichever level you enrol on, whether that's level 1, 2 or 3. And the most important thing that your role is in play is to make sure that the environment is an enabling environment. And what that means is it's health and safety. There's lots of things prepared for the children. It's accessible, they can join in and have fun and be safe and learn. So your job to make that an enabling environment would be to provide the opportunities, so planning activities, providing the resources for those activities. While the children are playing, encourage the socialisation and their group learning. Sustain shared thinking, so working together with children, coming up with ideas and planning things and learning new things. supporting self-regulation, boundary setting, positive reinforcement, and obviously health and safety is very, very important. Making sure that those activities that you've planned are safe and that children are learning in that safe environment. If that's all planned properly and carefully, then hopefully everybody should have fun together. So we've looked a lot today of play, of development. We've started to look at the rights of children. We've started to look at different theorists. And like I said, this is something that you will do in a lot more detail. This is just a taster session today for you to understand the sort of content that you will be learning during your course. So hopefully you've enjoyed it. We've given you some food for thought, and we've given you some opportunity to start thinking about why your role is so important in early years childcare. So bearing in mind that we've gone through a lot of information today, we're going to make it nice and relaxed for you over the summer. We want you to get involved in some activities. So what we'd like you to do, if possible, if you have any younger siblings or nephews, nieces, any friends, or if not, you can do this yourself, actually participate yourself in a variety of play activities, both indoors and outdoors. So if you can do that with children, fantastic. If not, play in your own garden. You don't need to go to the park and embarrass yourself. You can get some toys and just have a play. Imagine that you are a little child. What would you do? How would you have fun with that actual toy? And once you've done that, what we'd like you to do is think of piles, think of physical, intellectual, language, emotional, and social development, as we mentioned in the slides earlier on. Make a note of the activities that you've either observed or participated in, and so make some notes, identify how what you observed or did linked to the different areas of development. So for example, if you climbed a climbing frame, give me some examples of physical skills. How did that link to emotional? If you played with a football, again, how did that link to physical skills, etc. So how could you use these activities to improve children's development? So think of those areas of development again. If you had a football, how could you help develop all the areas of development, not just the physical, but the intellectual, the language, the emotional, and the social? So that's a little task for you to be doing there. And the second task is we want you to get creative. So gather lots of variety of materials from around your home. We don't expect you to go shopping and buy loads of different resources. What we'd like you to do is have a look around your house, be creative. Get some glue, some felt tips, some scissors. You could do paper mache. You can make something like an image or a piece of art, and you can either bring it with you when you start in college or take a photograph of that creation, and we will make a display on one of the boards in one of our classrooms when we're all together in college in September. So I hope you've enjoyed today's presentation. Thank you very much for listening. Any questions you have, I've put there at the bottom the 3 emails for myself, for Helen and Lisa. Anything at all that you want to ask, please feel free to send us an email. We will be working up until sort of the middle of July, and then we'll be back end of August. So if we don't reply straight away, don't worry, we'll pick those emails up at any point, but please do feel free to ask any questions at all. But the other thing just to point out, don't forget to visit the college website. So if you have a look at the different sections of College Ready programme on the website, there are some different tasks on there also that might help you, some videos to look at, some little tasks to get involved in, and that will help you with your transition. It will help you prepare for the college when you join us after the summer. So that's it for today. I hope you've enjoyed that little presentation, that little taster session. Obviously it's a different way of doing things. Normally you would have been in college with us and we would have done lots of practical activities together and you would have got to meet us, but at least this way you get a little taster of what's going to come on your childcare course. So we're looking forward to meeting you all soon. Have a lovely summer, take care, and thanks for listening.